that you are in a burning building and you're making your way through the smoke and the fire, and the moment you reach the elevator and you want to press the button, you read this message saying, "Do not use the elevator in case of fire." I'm like, okay, now what? You're perfectly informed about what not to do, and you still don't have any idea where the emergency exits are. So words obviously can save lives. And maybe you are sharing this experience that sometimes words are really misleading or kind of outdated. Some of my favorites are when I think about, why do we call at work, why do we call human beings human resources? And we give them deadlines. Or how come we are calling countries underdeveloped while actually they are overly exploited? Or another example, think about climate change. Isn't it interesting that we do not call it climate crisis or planetary breakdown? The words we speak are creating the world we live in. And at the same time, the limits of our language mean also the limits of our worlds. And this is why I believe it's totally important that we are increasing the way we speak and we talk. So the moment we are transforming our language, we can transform the world. And a lot has already been said about the effect of language on our personal lives. And this is why today I want to speak about their collective impact. Because I strongly believe that together, by changing our words, we can co-create and we can co-author the future we all believe is possible. And we can start this now. So my heart project, Speak Green, is actually very simple. Since now almost 5 years, since the 1st of January 2014, I'm posting on Facebook and on the website posts that are having this kind of format. I am posting in red words that express how we are saying things since ever, like in a traditional way. And above it, in green, I'm adding inspiration, an alternative, something to consider. So red means stop a moment, is this still how you want to say it? And green is like, yeah, maybe I go for that alternative. So a classic example of this is no war. Since centuries we are like speaking about no war. And of course the alternative of Speak Green is peace. So imagine if we would focus on peace instead of resting in peace, we would be living in peace. And instead of ministries of defense, we would have ministries for peace. And instead of fighting for peace, which is anyway bizarre, who came up with this? We are fighting for peace, really? We could peace for peace and choose peaceful actions. So this is one of the examples, and this idea of going beyond no has far-reaching consequences, and I want you to experience them yourself. So for a moment, try to sit comfortably and breathe in, breathe out. And now in the next seconds, I want you to not think about a glitter-sneezing, dancing unicorn with a rainbow tail. So, who of you had the most vivid imagination of unicorns ever? Show me your hand. Here we go. So, what happens normally here is that we cannot not think. Our brain always is thinking, and this is proven by science again and again. So while we are trying to not think about something, we actually activate the picture and we strengthen the connections of it in the brain, with the consequence that we reach exactly the opposite of our good intentions. The way out would be that we consciously focus on the alternative and on the better, the better option, consciously. So don't think about this doesn't work. You have to direct your attention. Yeah. And since normally we are not thinking so often about unicorns, I wanted to share with you 3 very practical examples. The very first one comes from the UEFA and the FIFA, and the football fans amongst you might have seen this before. They had this big campaign which was saying, say no to racism, and it was all over the stadiums and everywhere. Say no to racism, say no to racism, racism. When you hear that, what is resonating in your mind? Racism. Exactly the opposite of what they wanted to reach. So my proposal would have been, be respectful and fair as one possibility. There are supposedly many more. Another story is something that I experienced myself when I was in Barcelona 1.5 years ago, and there happened this attack. And within hours, a certain slogan has been created, and it was going through the whole city. And the slogan was, "We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid." And I thought, oh my goodness, I wish we would share a different story. We would speak about, we stand together. We are united in peace. We are one. Like something more encouraging. And my third example is related to something that some of you might know very well. It is the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs 2030. Does any one of you know the slogan, the main motto of the SDGs? The main motto is, leaving no one behind. So when I listen to leaving no one behind with my green ears, I'm like, I wish it would be about taking everyone with us, or taking care of everyone everywhere, something like this, instead of the original message. So you see, words are very powerful, and they are creating certain worlds, and they are not only words, they are creating actions as well. And 3 more examples for how words are creating behavior and actions. The first one is related to an experiment they did, where they asked participants to read a text that contained words like old, grey, sentimental, forgetful, retired, and wrinkle. So one group was reading that text, and the other group was reading a neutral text. So, and once they finished this reading exercise, they thought the experiment is over. Well, this was the moment when it actually began. So the researchers were like stopping the time from when they left the room until they reached the elevator, and what they found there is that participants who read the text with these elderly stereotype priming words were significantly walking slowly than the others, influenced by 28 words altogether that they just have read in a text. Immediate effect on their behavior. Another example is related to another experiment where one group was told that they are playing a Wall Street game, while the other group was told that they are playing a community game, the same game. So while playing in this Wall Street game option, these participants showed more competitive, more selfish behavior, and they found they also have seen them being more prone or being more ready to betray. Those few who in this Wall Street option started out to be cooperative, they changed their behavior very soon when they realized, oh, the other one is playing in a competitive way. In the community game option, it was exactly the opposite. The majority of players started out in a cooperative way, and they kept on doing so throughout the game. So what has influenced their behavior? The name of a game. And my last example is connected to economic students. So they asked them how important they are rating altruistic behavior, like being loyal, helpful, honest. And they found students in their first year are rating the importance much, much higher than the ones in the third year. And the researchers were like scratching their heads. They were like, okay, so what is happening here? And what they concluded is that by being showered semester after semester with usual capitalist models and theories implying a high self-interest and the idea of an economic man and a competitive advantage and the survival of the fittest, these students, after all these years, firmly believe in this kind of concept. And I always wish I could invite some of them to see these zillions of cooperative advantages that we have worldwide, and to know that Darwin actually said it's about the survival of the fittest for change. So these three examples are meant to show to you how words are creating worlds and how they are influencing our behavior. And this is why I believe it's important to be very careful to choose life-affirming words and to do this intentionally. And there are many areas where we could apply this, because very often we're living in this kind of fixed mindset, and what I would like to invite us all is to open our minds, which would be a mental revolution. Because in Speak Green, it's actually also inspired by two different quotes. The first one you see here: if you want to change society, then you must tell an alternative story. No? So we are creating an alternative story. And the second quote is, you never change things by fighting against the existing reality. No, to change something, build a new model that makes the old model obsolete. So this is what Speak Green is dedicated to. And now we come to my 5 examples. One of them is related to this metaphor of organizations as machines. And I really hope that we would move and see that organizations are actually living systems. So instead of thinking about maximizing stakeholder benefits and profit, that we look at the social impact and the common good, and we realize it is about purpose, people, planet, and profit. So imagine that one day, if we hear about a millionaire, we don't admire them for owning millions, but we admire them for supporting millions. Another example is related to refugees and the language we use. I really wish we would call them human beings seeking refuge, or survivors, newcomers, evacuees. Because currently in the media, they call them a tsunami or a caravan or a crisis. While what is actually going on is a humanity crisis of power, politics, and privilege. And to say it with their words, we are not chasing your benefits, we are fleeing your bombs. Let this sink in. A third example is related to other headlines. Headlines that we read a lot. A woman got raped, 90% of the girls got harassed in the streets. So when we speak about violence against girls and women, these are like very typical headlines. They are written in passive language, and they are kind of giving the impression that it's a female issue, very like normal, 90%. What is not seen here is who are actually the violators, who are the people who do it. So I believe it's important to make them visible and to speak about the men and the boys behind it, which is changing the whole story. And while we are already on it, we could also stop framing rape victims as sisters and daughters and start framing rapists as brothers and fathers. My fourth example is related to something that you also might see in the streets. Don't litter as one example, which is provoking this idea of litter, litter, litter. And as an alternative, keep the community clean, which is already a step forward. I believe we could even move further forward when we look at us being part of the environment. There is no environment. We are the environment. We are nature. And if once we realize this, we are not protecting the environment anymore only, but we also are caring about saving us. So maybe this would motivate some people to take better care. Because there are actually no passengers on planet Earth. We are all crew. And my fifth and last example here is about us moving from this kind of egocentric thinking to ecocentric doing. From the story of me, to the story of we. And realizing that there is no first or third world and these kind of man-made borders. No, we are living all on one planet. That's one world. So everything you can do, we can do better. So what you see here is a couple of examples where the way we are speaking and our verbal habits can have a huge impact on our world we live in. And for this I have like 3 different tips for you. One of them is check the way you think, the way you speak with yourself, the way you are speaking with others, and also your next email that you write. And check if it is in line with how you want this world to be like and where you would like to adjust it. This would be the second point. Intentionally create a new language and cultivate it and bring it into the world, which is more in line with how you want us to live together. Because by doing this, you're becoming a co-author of a peaceful coexistence. So to summarize what I just said, words matter, words are powerful, words are evoking actions, and words can transform the world. So I really hope that you are all with me when I say, let us express the change we wish to experience in the world, day by day, and word for word. Thank you.